evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is TIKTAK'S from the offices of WNBC. We bring you the weekly Storm Report. Everything you need to know about Fortnite.
Hey guys, TikTak here. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with us on the weekly Storm Report. Let's get right into it. Everything they introduced, everything you should buy, and what is coming in your loved game, Fortnite. First, the weekly store. Nothing really good to see here. Not much has been updated. The event store has stayed the same for about a month and a half now. The only thing really worth mentioning is the Obliterator, and we will get there in a second. Otherwise, get your Flux, get your Rain, your Storm Shards, your Eyes of the Storm, and your Lightning. All of that stuff, pick it up. Armory slots, grab that too. If, and only if, you have not gotten all of the perk up out of the event store. Everything else in the store this week is kind of it's not very good. I would skip everything. The Tiny Instrument of Death is not a good weapon, period. It's fun. If you have extra gold to spend, pick it up, but it's not good. It's just fun. Enforcer Grizzly can be fun if you flux them up all the way, but there are better characters. And lastly, a healing pad. No, they're not useful in many aspects. You forget to make them, they're expensive to make, and they're just not very viable. And there's better stuff in the store, especially if you have not gotten all of your perk up from the event store. Make sure always to prioritize that and your leveling materials. So before we get into the Obliterator and how good it is or how bad it is, we'll find out in a minute, I wanted to talk about the melee buff that melee weapons have received. As you can see here, they have gotten an enormous boost to the amount of damage they can put out. You can see in the footage behind you, them literally one-shotting things, hitting for 120,000 a swing. They are incredible. Melee is still in a terrible spot because of how this game is played, and things having knockbacks and the bees, and you putting yourself in a really bad position to actually do the damage, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. Actually being able to outdamage most guns shot for shot DPS wise makes melee weapons viable in at least a damage sense. They still need some things to work on, such as gap closing and being able to survive certain scenarios a lot better, but it's nice to see that Epic may be finally abandoning the idea that the fact that melee weapons do not use bullets counteracts the fact that it puts you in a dangerous spot. Crafting and nuts and bolts and metal and all the stuff that you need to make bullets, minus maybe energy cells, is not tedious or not bad. Ever in this game, except for maybe level 2, have I not had enough nuts and bolts or metal to actually craft bullets for the gun I'm using. I'm not sure that not crafting bullets is a good enough reason to put melee in such a weird spot. This is a good step in the right direction, just it's not enough, not yet. But Epic did say that they will be continuing to monitor and continuing to report on the entire melee problem. We should be able to see more and more benefits and more changes to melee weapons in the upcoming weeks. Epic Games hit us with a hotfix today, going from patch 4.4 to 4.4.1. This patch brings us player reporting. It's a quick little hotfix, and it is something that the community has been asking for a very long time. Gone are the days of the AFKers and the griefers standing in front of your bomb on a bomb mission, all of the backtalk, the scamming, the trading, everything. You will finally be able to report a player who has griefed you. So let's take a quick look on how you do it, when you should do it, and what you can expect to happen. On PC, press the escape button. On console, it should be the start button. You will see on the top right, report player. What this button does is brings you to a brand new menu where you will have the last 10 to 15 people you have played with. If any of these people you feel have done any of these things that will be listed, you can click on their name and report them for doing so. You have things like communication abuse, offensive name, AFK, ignoring objective, harassment, exploiting, and probably the coup de grace, the trade scam. You can report for any one of these reasons, but I would use it sparingly. Remember guys, Fortnite is in an alpha state, meaning they're doing this stuff to test things. After you choose what that individual may or may have not or done, you will be able to also add additional info. That additional info will be you describing what went on. Now remember guys, they also take the entire game and they go through the chat that you've said during that game. So if you report someone after you called them a name or something racist or something to that effect, they will have the entire chat screen. Do not over inundate Fortnite Epic Games with a ton of BS reports, guys. It's going to do way more harm than good. Take your time and only use them when you really feel they are needed. And as you can see here, my first game this morning, 7:30 a.m., right before I started working, this is what I got. I had one team member not do a damn thing. Score of 0, 0, 0. This was my first game of the day when they brought the new reporting system in, and I absolutely used it for this instance. This is when you're supposed to use it, when they are obviously cheating, when they are obviously being lazy, AFKing, ignoring the objective. This is when you use this. You do not use this system for small little things that may bug you. You use it for things that you want these kind of people out of the community. That's it. And with that, let's get into the Obliterator after a quick word from our sponsors. Isn't VendorTech the bad guy? He is the bad guy. And we're back. Thank you guys for bearing with us during that commercial break. Let's take a look at the Obliterator, the brand new sniper rifle from VendorTech Weapons. The Obliterator is a hard-hitting, slow-firing, small magazine, scoped sniper rifle. The reason I say scoped is because some sniper rifles in this game just don't have one. I'm pretty sure out of the gate it is set perks. Those perks not being great. However, the second perk, I'm not 100% sure, but it starts with 20% impact. I believe that might be a unique perk. Don't quote me on that. I just don't remember seeing it. But don't fret, because even though the perks that you get with it originally aren't the best, you can change this gun into a monster sniper rifle if you choose to do so. The only problem is, currently, we do not have a character that can really use snipers well. The closest thing we have is Urban Assault Headhunter, which basically uses assault rifles 10 times better than she uses any form of a sniper rifle, and then you have Deadshot Jest. And neither of these characters, no matter what their names may imply, just aren't great with snipers. In fact, there's no class in the game that currently is. Hopefully, somewhere down the line, Epic realizes this and adds something with maybe some crit chance, some extra base damage, something to really use a sniper well. The Obliterator is unique in many aspects, but first of all, let's talk about how you might want to think about rolling it. This gun is unique in the aspect that it also has 2 headshot damage multipliers on the last 2 perks you can roll. Also, it can have 2 crit rating perks and 2 critical damage perks, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Me, personally, this is how I would roll mine. Crit damage or flat damage, crit rating, physical or energy, because you only get one and you're usually using it on bigger targets. Then 4th and 5th, I would go crit rating or headshot damage, or crit damage and then headshot damage once again. All of these perks make this gun into a beast to deal with. I mean, literally hitting for 220,000 damage, a headshot, a body shot, it doesn't matter. This thing destroys everything in its path, including buildings, and we'll get to that in a second. And the reason I lean towards crit more than headshot damage, even though the headshot damage multiplier on this gun is through the roof, is because the only real sniper support we have is Deadshot Jest, and Deadshot Jest gives you 70% extra critical damage when you're using a sniper, making this thing jump up to about 480% if you're using the right characters and hitting like the Hulk. Lastly, let's talk about how this thing can take down a building from over the entire map. One, I don't think it has damage drop off. Don't quote me on that, it's really hard to test, but I don't think it does. At least while shooting a building and or structure, it does not have any damage drop off. 2, if you're using this gun as kind of a gimmick to just break down buildings, do not go higher than Malachite. There's no reason to. This thing will still destroy the buildings just as fast as it would if it was Shadow Shard. And Shadow Shard, as you guys know, is hard to come by. So if you're using it just for a gimmick, just keep it at Malachite. You do not need to raise it any higher. All in all, the Obliterator is a pretty fun weapon. It does its job pretty well for a mist monster picker-offer, if that's a term we're going to use. It also takes down buildings really quickly, so no longer do you have to run around beating up a wall that takes forever to knock down a building to open up that pit you're using for your defense. None of that exists anymore. If you want to use it just for that, like I said, do not go higher than Malachite. And just remember, melee damage has been bumped through the roof. If you have a Brawler Luna, if you have a Swordmaster Ken, if you have a Deadly Blade, try them out again. You may not have liked them before, but the amount of damage they're putting out is just fun, period. Remember also not to AFK in missions, not to scam anybody, because reporting is now live. I may have forgot to say it. They are reviewing all reports currently. They are reviewing them manually. So don't worry about getting falsely reported a bunch of times because you didn't give someone a weapon. It should be okay, at least until they move to an automated system, but hopefully they'll have all the kinks worked out by then. And lastly, the Obliterator, guys, is a lot of fun. Pick it up in the store, absolutely, 100%. Go knock down some buildings, and simply if you just use it for that, maybe you'll save a few llamas.